Hi, my name is Olivia, and in 2017, I left the US and I never plan on moving back. I wanted to make these videos in order to really just encourage you. If you've been thinking about moving abroad, it is possible. You can do it. And today I just wanted to share with you kind of a quick summary of my journey abroad to inspire you and think about what do you want your journey abroad to look like. Leaving in 2017 actually started in 2016 because I decided that I wasn't happy with my life and I decided that I was going to do something about it. So for me, what that meant was quitting my job. I was working at a teacher in California at the time. And if you quit early, if you let the school know in January that you would be leaving at the end of the school year, you actually got a bonus. So I thought, let's just go for it. Let's take the leap and actually make a little bit of extra money. So yeah, in January, I told my school that I would be leaving. And I didn't have a plan at that point. I didn't have a job lined up. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, but I was kind of just tired of looking for the American dream. I was tired of being unsatisfied with my life. And I thought, okay, one thing that does really make me happy is traveling. So at the very least, even if I can't find, the perfect life abroad, at the very least, I can do something that makes me happy and that I really want to do, which is traveling. So yeah, I started doing the work. I started looking for schools abroad. I'm a trained teacher in the US, so that's what I started looking up. I looked for jobs in my field, which you can do also. So I ended up getting hired at a school in China. I went to a job fair. I think it was in January or February, actually, is when I went to the job fair, and I got hired by a school. I got offered a position working in a preschool in a big international school in Shanghai, China, and the salary was good. They offered me flights and housing, and so I went for it. And yeah, during the summer of 2017, I flew to China and started my life abroad. I stayed in China for 2 years. The school was actually pretty good. I had some great colleagues, and I really, really enjoyed living in China. I was able to pay off all of my student loans in 1 year from 1 year's salary of living in China and still traveling. I was traveling all around China. I didn't end up leaving China because it is cheaper, obviously, to travel within the country. But China is such a big country. There were so many different places to explore. So that's what I did. And I still saved up enough money to pay off $12,000 in student loan debt. It had taken me 5 years before that point to pay off the other half. When I graduated university, I was $24,000 in debt, in student loan debt, and it took me 5 years to pay off half of that. And then in 1 year in China, I paid off the other half. So that part of it was absolutely amazing. So yeah, the first year I was traveling all around China, just seeing beautiful places in China. And then the second year I'd paid off all of my debt. And so I was traveling all over the place. I went snowboarding in South Korea. I went to a Japanese onsen hot springs, in Hiroshima. I traveled all over and I had the best time of my life. I went to Bali and Indonesia. It was an amazing time, really. I even had friends who were in the US. They flew in to join me on these trips. So I had so much fun. But towards, I guess, halfway through the second year in China, I did start to feel kind of homesick for more of a Western style of living. Some of the cultural practices of China did start to wear on me after 2 years. Well, at that point, it was about a year and a half. And I decided I was ready to move on and to be somewhere a little bit closer to home. So I settled on actually the Czech Republic. I had lived there before as a student in 2008, 2009. I was an exchange student in the Czech Republic, so I decided I was going to find a job in the Czech Republic. And I did. I got hired at another school. It was a bilingual school, not an international school. But yeah, I was hired at a school in the Czech Republic. And in the summer of 2019, right before COVID hit, of course, I flew to the Czech Republic, to the capital city, Prague. I did spend lockdown and COVID in Prague, which actually I have to say was absolutely amazing. I mean, okay, COVID was horrible. People being sick, people dying, absolutely horrible. However, my time being in lockdown in Prague was really, really nice because there were no tourists. If you've never been to Prague, it's an absolutely beautiful city. Like, really, the architect, the building, it's so, so, so beautiful. But obviously, because it's so beautiful, everyone wants to come and visit it. Everyone wants to see the city center. And during COVID, the city center was empty. So it was actually really, really nice. It was a very hard time for teachers. I had never taught online before, so that was a new experience for me, one that I didn't care for at all. I know it was really hard for families as well. And yeah, dealing with, trying to be a bilingual teacher online was even more difficult. A lot of information that children learn is through not just the words you're speaking, because half of the words they don't understand. They need the visuals, they need also the movement, your facial expressions, all of that is kind of, I feel like, lost from online teaching. But we survived. So yeah, I did 2 years in the Czech Republic and I really, really loved it. And then actually, at the end of the 2 years in the Czech Republic, it was 2021, I think, at that point. And I had been in a serious relationship and I had actually just ended that serious relationship. And I decided that I really needed something new. And I wasn't sure what that was, actually. So I ended up quitting my teaching job actually pretty late in the season. I think I let the school know in May that I was leaving at the end of June. And I had nothing lined up. I had no idea what I was going to do. But I loved traveling. And so I was actually a part of a community called Trusted House Sitters. It's a website you can sign up for. You go through, a vetting process, but it is pretty easy if you pay the fee to get listed. And basically what you get to do is stay in people's houses. Families are going on vacation or they're traveling and they have dogs or animals, any type of pets, and they want people to house sit. It's cheaper for them than to have their animals in a boarding situation. So you get to live in their house for free if you take care of their animals. And I had done that throughout my 2 years in the Czech Republic. And I ended up finding a house sitting job in Luxembourg, in the capital city of Luxembourg. Which is Luxembourg, I think. The capital city is called Luxembourg. It's a very small country, in the border with France. So it was for about a month because the homeowners, they were actually also teachers, and we kind of connected last minute, but they had a cat and they were traveling back to the US, but they were teachers, living abroad also in Luxembourg. So they invited me to stay in their apartment for exchange of taking care of their cat. And that's what I did for a month to really just figure out what my next steps were going to be. What did I want? Did I want to stay in the Czech Republic? Oh my gosh, it's starting to rain. I'm just on a hike in the mountains. It's so beautiful here, but it is starting to rain now. So hopefully that doesn't interrupt the video. Anyways, so yeah, I spent a month in Luxembourg, which is a beautiful country. It's very, very tiny, but absolutely beautiful. I was luckily also near a forest, so I was able to go like trail running almost every day and hiking in the forest and just breathing in the forest air. And I was like, okay, I'm going to travel again. I'm going to go somewhere new. I love the Czech Republic. Obviously, I'm back there now. Today, I'm in the Czech Republic and I'm living here now again. But at that point in time, I wanted something completely different. And I ended up finding a position in Kuwait, which was completely different. I'd never been to the Middle East before, and I was excited. It was a new adventure. So I accepted the position. It was for a first grade teaching position in Kuwait. It wasn't in, the city center. It was kind of out, but still, it was like a nice location. Kuwait is also very, very tiny. I can't even remember the area. I'll butcher the name if I try to say it and try to remember it. But I mean, it was a really nice gig. They paid for my flight. They paid for they gave me, an apartment. So I had an apartment for free. They even set me up with my cell phone so that I would have that ready to go. And yeah, it did take a while to get my visa processed. So I actually ended up leaving Luxembourg and I went back to the US. I stayed with my aunt for maybe about another month, and I ended up joining a little bit late into the school year. I think I got there around September 10th maybe, and the school year had already started. Or maybe it was even later, October 10th actually, now that I'm remembering. So the school year had already started. which I mean, it was fine. I had a co-teacher, so she was, holding down the fort for me. But yeah, it was actually quite amazing at the beginning. My apartment was beautiful. They set me up with a two-bedroom, two-bath, fully furnished apartment in a building that was full of other, my colleagues, other teachers, and they provided, public like transportation. They had a school bus for all the teachers, so they provided the transportation for us to get to school, and it was kind of like I don't know, the best, I would say, maybe I'm biased, but the best school in Kuwait. It was a very, very nice school. They had, an Olympic sized swimming pool, multiple gyms that teachers were allowed to use. So I ended up, yeah, I would go in the mornings to work out in the gym before school would start. And it was really, really nice, all of the luxuries. But I love nature. As you can tell from being around me, I absolutely love hiking and being in the forest and in the mountains. And Kuwait does not have that. So pretty quickly, I realized that Kuwait was not the right place for me. There were still a few restrictions from COVID as well. We ended up shutting down, the school shut down, I think, for 2 weeks after Christmas because people were traveling and ended up getting sick with COVID. And I was just like, okay, one, I cannot be in lockdown here if something, if COVID comes back in full force. And two, I need forests, I need mountains, I need nature. So after my first year, I did decide to leave after just 1 year in Kuwait. I let my school again know pretty early for that move. I think I told them in January that I was going to be leaving after 1 year. And the school was really great. And they still, obviously, like I got my full salary. I still had my flight at the end. These schools, these international schools provide so many benefits. The school in China provided my flight and my apartment. It wasn't furnished in China, so I did have to buy some stuff. I think they only gave me a couch and a bed in the apartment in China. Everything else I had to buy. But in Kuwait, I had everything. So fully furnished, nothing I had to buy or try and sell at the end before I left. So that was really, really nice. And they still gave me my round trip flight. So they flew me there and I was able to fly out as well, which was great. So yeah, after 1 year in Kuwait, I think I was able to save up around, it was a lot. I think I was able to save around 12,000 US dollars as well. I saved that much in China the first year. The second year, I saved a little bit of money, but I was traveling so much in China. And then in Prague, I wasn't able to save as much, but Kuwait, I did save quite a lot. And so, yeah, it was really nice to have that savings, to have that security, and also just to make it easy for me to decide where I wanted to go next, what job I wanted to take next, because I had made all that money working in Kuwait. So after that year, I did end up going back to the Czech Republic. I really missed Prague. It felt the most like home at that point. And I ended up getting another job at an international school. And I worked there for 1 year before I just felt really burnt out. Also, the admin at that school was very difficult to deal with, and it just didn't feel like a good working environment for me and my mental health. So I had also met my now boyfriend, and we decided that we were going to take a year off. I still had tons of savings from working in Kuwait, and yeah, so I worked for 1 year. I think that was 2022 to 2023. I worked for 1 year again in Prague, and then we decided we were going to travel for 6 months. He worked online as a translator. He's Czech, by the way, and so he could work from anywhere. And I had saved up a lot of money, so I was like, I can just take time off. I'm feeling really burnt out, and that's what I want to do. So we did. We left in September. And we traveled first to Thailand. We spent 3 months in Thailand and then 3 months in Vietnam. And it was absolutely amazing. The beaches were amazing. The weather. We purposefully left, in the fall because Peter, my boyfriend, does not like European winters. He's not a fan of the cold. So he was very, very happy to be in Asia. When it was, freezing or below freezing here in the Czech Republic. So yeah, we spent 6 months in Asia, and then I decided I was ready to get back into it, and we came back in March of, I think, 2024. And I worked as a substitute teacher for the remainder of the school year. And then I ended up getting another job at my current school where I am right now. So 2025 to now, 2024 actually, the 2024-2025 school year, I've been working, I was working my first year at my current school, and this is my second year there now. And right now we're just trying to decide what do we want next for our lives. There's so many possibilities, there's so many places we can go. And I don't know, moving abroad is really what gave me that freedom of choice, of like thinking of all the possibilities, of realizing that I'm not limited to one location. And there's so much in the world out there for us. So that's kind of my story. That's my adventure and journey of living abroad. Right now, we're considering buying a house in the Czech Republic, but we're still thinking about ways to travel. So one of our ideas is that if we do buy a house, we would actually end up renting it out as maybe an Airbnb for part of the year because we want to travel. And Peter has a van that he converted sort of into a camper van. So there's a bed and, you know, a toilet and a sink and everything. We've got running water, so we can travel to places like this in the mountains, which are absolutely beautiful. And so, yeah, there's just so many possibilities out there. And I think it just really takes you deciding that it's possible for you also and taking that first step. It's so worth it. If you've been thinking about moving abroad, if you've been thinking about trying something new, go for it. There are so many different pathways to living the life that I'm living right now. I've met so many different people who have left their home country and are absolutely loving their life. I've met people who have, you know, traveled abroad for 7, 8, 10 years and then decided they were ready to go back home. And I've met people who have been living abroad for 20 years and, you know, they go home to visit, but their home is in whatever country they're living at that time, you know? So I want you to stay open to the possibilities. And if you've been thinking about traveling abroad, go for it. Thanks so much for listening. And I hope I've given you a little bit of inspiration. And yeah, see you in the next video. Bye.